evening. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we are live on three platforms. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So, waiting for all of you to join in so that we can begin talking. Great. As you join in, please drop in a hi so that I know who's here with me because there's no other way for me to figure out. And I would love to welcome you. And at the same time, as we talk, like I always say, please do share whatever comes to your mind. Let it be a dialogue. So if there's any question that you have, if there's an opinion that you hold as we talk along, or if there is some perspective, some experience that you can recall, anything that you feel is relevant to what we're talking and it's going to add on, please go ahead and share here. Let's make the most of it. Yeah. So, once again, a very warm welcome, those of you who are joining in live and those of you who would be watching it later also. Hi, Devtosh. Good evening. A very warm welcome. Hope you're doing great. Super. Lovely. So today, this is work on workplace relations with Aastha. I'm Aastha Tatia, your happiness coach for those of you who are meeting me for the first time. And this live show is all about working on your workplace relationships, on picking up some aspect of what you're dealing with in your workplace relationships and delving a little deeper into it. Yeah. So today, what I want to talk about is, are you communicating or just assuming? Hi, Abdul. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining in. So, are you communicating or just assuming? Does it somewhere ring a bell? Does it hit you somewhere? Now, what does this really mean, and why are we even talking about it? So, I think every time we talk about workplace relationships, that's what this show is all about, and that's where I think a big struggle is. Any challenge that we are facing at workplace, I feel it all boils down to struggle in relationships, strained relationships, difficult relationships where we don't have an access on how do you take it to the next level, right? So, in that sense, communication is fundamental, foundational to having valuable or having meaningful relationships. Yeah, and we miss out on communication. We completely miss out. I see a lot of times completely missed out, and when communication is poor, then the relationships are bound to be strained. Okay, so let's understand, what are we really doing, how are we really going about playing this whole game. Okay, hi Mukta, welcome, thank you for joining in. So keep sharing and putting down your experiences in the chat box. Would love to hear from you. So when we talk about workplace relationships and any relationship that you feel is strained, you experience struggle there, and you really want to have the deep connection that you so desire, and not just workplace, this applies everywhere. You've got to see that what is the level of communication that exists there. Yeah, what is the kind of the quality of communication that you are experiencing in that relationship. Inherently, as human beings, we all want to experience belongingness, experience relatedness. We all want to be seen, heard, right? We love it when somebody acknowledges us, when somebody makes us feel seen and heard, when somebody listens to us, don't we? Right? But we miss out on that element when we are conducting ourselves in any relationship. So when you are in a relationship with, let's say, your boss or your colleague or your subordinate, everybody is a human being. Yeah, they're all the same way. They're all designed in the same way. So everybody wants to be seen, heard, wants to feel special, wants to feel acknowledged. Okay, so if you're giving attention, it's a welcome thing. So what happens in our communications at workplace, and let me know if you agree or you have a different opinion, but we, in communicating, So our communication is coming from where? And when I say communication, it's not just what you're speaking out, but it is your whole way of being. What you are communicating non-verbally, your body language, your facial expressions, even when you're not saying anything, you are silent. You choose to just stay quiet, not talk about something, that is also communication, right? Now, when you are choosing a certain communication, where is it coming from? Because in a similar situation, maybe some kind of a crisis, one person behaves in a different manner, the other one chooses to deal with it in a different manner. So where is that behavior coming from? There's no standard behavior, right? Your behavior, your communication is coming from your belief system, because you feel, okay, this is a crisis situation, but who am I dealing with? My boss. And with boss, I must or I'm supposed to behave in a certain way. And therefore, you choose, or I'd say not even choose, from your belief system, you end up exhibiting that same learned behavior, which you do every time. He's the boss, he's the authority. This is how I must behave. This is how I must communicate. Now, for you, it could be I must stay quiet. I must not speak up. Okay. Or with this colleague, there is some kind of a confrontation. Let me give it back to him. He cannot walk away with this. So I'm going to give it back to him. So then you communicate in a certain way. Now, what happens in these scenarios is we miss out on empathizing. We miss out on spending time on thinking what would the other person be going through, why is he doing what he's doing. We completely miss out on that part, and when we miss out on that, then our communication is only governed by the belief system, which is this is how it should be, it is not happening, so I must do this. Okay, whatever your criteria is, whatever your belief system is, so your behavior is coming from that, and that's all that you do. And you are coming from your belief system, the other person is coming from his belief system, and as a result, you are probably not even communicating. You are assuming. You are assuming. So, what you're doing is, he said so, right? Which means he probably doesn't like me. Or my boss said that you need not attend the meeting. Okay, so probably I'm not important. I don't contribute as much. Maybe they can do without me. So I think I just need to be out. And you create a whole story around it, right? Or your colleague calls you up and says, hey, something has come up and I won't be able to attend this whole event. Please manage. And you'll be like, he always does this. This is what happens. He's very irresponsible, etc., etc. And you go on creating that whole story. We all do that. We all do that basis our belief system, because in our belief system, a person who does this is probably somebody who's irresponsible, somebody who is not trustworthy, who is he's somebody you cannot rely upon the next time, and that's where you form a new belief, and then that's how you treat the other person, and it just goes on and on. Now, in assuming, when we're all assuming, we love creating those stories. So making those assumptions actually leads us nowhere, because one, I'm making the assumptions, and basis those assumptions, I communicate from my belief system. So I assumed that my boss thinks I'm not needed because I'm good for nothing or I don't contribute much, and therefore he said, don't come into the meeting, or you need not come to the meeting. And then my whole communication, even non-verbal, becomes very, very disempowering, maybe. You've got to see it for yourself. How do you do that? Then every time you meet the boss, what plays on your mind is that assumption. Oh, because he asked me not to be a part of the meeting, because this is what he thinks. Either this is who I am, or this is who I am, or I'm not good enough, or whatever you create for yourself. But you would never walk up to your boss and check. If it's bothering you so much, you would not walk up to the concerned person, whether it's your colleague, your boss, and have a conversation around it. Now, you will say, how can I walk up to my boss and ask? I mean, I can't be questioning him. No, I'm not asking you to question, but who holds the responsibility for this communication? Because alongside this communication bases the assumptions, there is also a communication which is going on inside your communication with yourself. Who owns that? And if you're not paying attention to that, if you're not getting aware of that, and you're not holding responsibility for that, it's taking a toll on you. So, what you say is that my boss did X or my colleague did Y, and therefore I'm feeling a certain way. Whereas the fact remains that whatever they said, you attached a meaning, you assumed something, and you kept piling on, you kept building it up, running that pattern again and again, reinforcing it by every action that the other person takes or every stimulus that you get from outside, and then it becomes so big for you that that's reality. And you end up feeling miserable, and you say the relationships are bad. What's missing? All it takes is for you to go understand what's there. What's missing was what I mean, if let's say go back to this instance where the boss said, you need not be a part of the meeting. Can I just walk up to the boss if it's bothering me so much and I choose not to be bothered? Peace of mind, my peace of mind is my responsibility. So can I walk up to my boss and say that, okay, you mentioned that I need not be a part of the meeting. So was it because of some specific reason? Was I not needed? Or in some way or the other. Now, that again depends upon a lot of factors. What's the context? What kind of a relationship you share with the boss? Your communication is going to be in that manner. If you share a great interpersonal relationship, then it's going to be different. If you share a very formal relationship, or if you share a strained relationship, right? But within that background, communication is a must. Communication is a must, and it needs for us to be aware of what could be a possible threat for the other person. If you're talking to your team member also, and you really want that your team member, your team has your back, they approach you for anything, they feel safe, and they share and they come to you with the challenges, are you really communicating that? When you talk to them, when you communicate with them, do you really, are you mindful of the fact that, okay, what I am saying could be a potential threat to them? Just like when your boss said, do not come to the meeting, you're not needed, that was a threat to you, that was a threat for you. So, of course, the communication needs to be weighed on that. So, instead of making those assumptions, so one is what I am communicating, it's coming from my belief system, from my conditioning, from what I think, uh, a certain behavior means. I'm quick to attach that meaning, create a story there. And I live in those assumptions. So many examples are there when I've spoken to these leaders, and when I ask them, okay, so you say that this is what your boss feels, or this is what, when your boss behaves a certain way, this is what it means. Did your boss say that? No, my boss didn't say that, but I mean, that's what he means. Says who? Says this. So, whatever the belief system, we quickly assume, we create that story, and we're living in that. And we're inflicting that pain on ourselves. And because of that pain, we further get into that way of being, which then strains the relationship further. Because you're not being your natural self. You're not going and walking up to your boss. And within your stories, you've created the strain in the relationship. And for all you know, it doesn't even exist for your boss. So it's very, very, very critical to clear all of this, to not assume, to get aware that I'm assuming, or is this communication? Have I really communicated what needs to be communicated, or is there a gap and I'm just assuming? Yeah, that's very, 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 very critical. Okay, let me just quickly go to the chat. Hi, Anuradha. Hi. I'm glad it resonates. In some areas, more than the communication, comprehension plays a major role. In fact, I've found that comprehension is more important, especially while dealing with those who find it hard to express. Okay, yes. Hi, Kavya. Great, yes, absolutely. So, I think the point that I wanted to put across today was, where we learn to get aware of what are we really doing, because we want to have a great workplace experience, and if we want to have a great experience, then it is important to, um, you know. Have great relationships, because my experience is defined by the quality of relationships, and for relationships to be good, for relationships to progress, for relationships to be more meaningful, communication is key. It is key. It is foundational. I cannot ignore it. And that, to me, is the biggest reason why people struggle in relationships. You all know that it happens in personal space also, it happens in professional space as well. But are we really mindful of what is happening? So the key is to start getting aware of what I am doing. And it's a muscle that you build. So every communication that you're having, every interaction that you're having at your workplace, start to get more mindful. Okay, whether I am, somebody did something, you just need a stimulus outside, one small thing, and your beliefs get triggered. Oh, he said this to me. So when the boss said you need not attend the meeting, yeah, and for you, if the belief is I'm not good enough, or I always fall short of expectations, so you, whatever the belief system is, it'll get triggered. Oh, he said, need not attend the meeting because I'm not good enough. See, I know I'm not good enough. And, I never perform satisfactorily. I always fall short of expectations. That's what my boss is also experiencing. See, you say to yourself, yes, this is true. And that belief gives you your thoughts, gives you your feeling. You end up feeling very, very low, and you think further, I'm not good enough, I'm not good for anything, or I'm not performing to the required level. And then that gives you your actions, behavior. So every time you meet your boss, you're in that disempowered state of mind, because what you think is, this is what my boss is thinking, that I'm not good enough. And then your whole way of being just says that, it shouts that. And consider that your boss or whoever is around is able to feel that, is able to see that. We may think that we are portraying something else, but it shows. And when that action or behavior, it shows there, then that's the result that is there. You're not able to create the connect. You're not able to create that connect. So therefore, being mindful of what is that belief that's gotten triggered, what about this whole communication triggered me, what did it trigger in me, what bothered me, being mindful of that, and then taking the responsibility of communicating back. If there's something which is not clear, rather than sitting on it, making that effort, taking that courage, and walking up to the person and saying, hey, I need to talk about this. Can I have 5 minutes? It really matters to me. And having that conversation, clarifying that for yourself. Wherever it is possible, in certain situations, may not be possible. And that's where you need to ask yourself whether I am just assuming, or this is something that has been explicitly said, explicitly laid out. Then it's fine, okay? And then you can have a conversation in a different direction. But otherwise, just assuming and creating your stories is not going to yield you anything. It's not going to take you anywhere. It's only going to pull you further down, 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 down. Yeah. So I hope you were able to relate with what I'm saying, because a lot of people who I've spoken to recently, a lot of people in the corporates are dealing with this, and it's at the core is what we just spoke about. That communication is absolutely missing. Communication, when I say we are communicating, of course, but that meaningful and intentional powerful communication is missing. It does take that conscious effort, but once you start doing it regularly, consistently, over and over again, you build muscle in that. And that is key. That's key to your relationship with yourself. And when your relationship with yourself starts to go a notch higher and higher, it automatically reflects in your relationships outside. Yeah, because all this that we spoke about, it is basically coming from your relationship with yourself. With all of this, there is a self talk that's going on. You're communicating with yourself, bases those assumptions, bases everything, and then that reflects outside. Yeah. So yeah, that was it from my side today, and I just hope this gives you some food for thought. What is it that you're going to do differently now? You can start by getting aware. Just get aware of what is it that you are doing. Next time that you feel disempowered, you get hit by what somebody said or did, or you feel every relationship, just start by observing what's happening in the relationship, what is happening in the communication. How are you communicating? What is it that's going on here? And the way to do it is, how will you do it? What is it that you're going to see? There's nothing physical there. So it's catching your self talk and then questioning yourself. So what's the self talk? What is it that I'm saying to myself? And is it something that the other person has said, or is it something that I'm assuming? And what can I do about it? Can I communicate? Can I clarify? Or I choose to just assume and live in that assumption? Yeah. So that's something I want you to consider and start at this. That's where you can start. Great. So I hope this was meaningful. This, just rang some bell. If it did, let me know. And thank you, Mukta. Thanks. I'm glad you found it valuable. Thanks for being there. Thanks for joining in. And yes, have a great, great week ahead. This week at your work, go ahead and practice this. Go ahead and practice this. Practice what? Practice awareness. Start by getting aware. Start by seeing what's happening. Something which is happening subconsciously, put your focus to it, put your attention to it, and then let's see what's happening. Yeah. And I'd be happy if you can, maybe in the comments or maybe a direct message, whatever works for you, write to me. Let me know, what have you seen for yourself? What is it that you're observing? And what pattern are you running? Whatever you get to know. I mean, there's no standard outcome that we desire as a result of these conversations, these sessions. Whatever you're able to see for yourself in your life, at your workplace, let me know. And I'll be happy to help you take this forward. Yeah. Lovely. Great. Wishing you lots of love, lots of happiness. Have a great week ahead. Do the work. Work on yourself. Yeah. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you so much for joining in. Waiting to hear from all of you.